The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
I got to tell you, lately I've been really into these out-of-state races. That's when you know you're really getting serious about this job. I never cared before. The only race I cared about was Trump. But cities and, Congress people, I never cared. But right now, I'm rooting so hard for Tommy Tuberville to be the next governor of Alabama. I rooted my ass off for that anti-Semite jerk-off Thomas Massey to lose, which he did in Kentucky. I rooted against Bill Cassidy. And I'm rooting in a big way for, obviously, Alex Sedan in Jersey, but Spencer Pratt. Like, I really want Pratt to make it on Tuesday. He doesn't win the election, but he gets there if he's one of the final two. Same thing with Steve Hilton for governor. So I'm finding myself really caught up in these California races and rooting really hard. I don't want California. My friend Stella Escobedo was on a couple of days ago. She said, it's worse here than in New York. She's in both places quite a bit. She said, Sid, it's worse here. There's more homeless in Los Angeles. It's brutal. I said, how can it be worse? We've got Mamdani and Hochul, she said. We've got Bass and Newsom. It's worse. So let's go Pratt. Let's go Hilton. I know KT McFarland, the genius, 4 different presidents, most recently President Trump, Fox News, bunch of times every week, on this show every Friday. I know you're paying close attention to California, yes?
Yeah, and the reason I've been so impressed, not only with the, everybody's been impressed with the videos and the viral ads and stuff, but Brian Kilmeade said, he said to me, go listen to his interview with Joe Rogan. There's a 3-hour interview, and Spencer Pratt talks to Joe Rogan for 3 hours, and he talks very specifically about what's wrong with the fire department, what's wrong with the Palisades, what's wrong with the fire? Why did it happen? Why were the reservoirs empty when they needed them, when they knew there would be fires? And then Spencer Pratt talks in very specific terms about the homeless problem in Los Angeles. He says it's not a homeless problem, it's a drug problem, and then goes through the fixes he would make. So the reason I want you to look at that race and watch what happens is because you, like a Spencer Pratt, like a Donald Trump, like a Ronald Reagan. I mean, Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump, the 2 most successful presidents, and certainly in my lifetime, and 2 of the most successful presidents in American history, they're not politicians. They did something else. They did something else before, and they were very successful at it. And so they came to the job with a very different attitude, a very different approach. That's why I like Spencer Pratt. He's never done politics. Right. But he's got a lot of common sense, and he's done an enormous amount of research, and he has a plan. And that's why I think that you ought to take it all seriously. Look at really seriously, because you know New York. You have a plan, and you got to be articulate about the plan, which you're very capable of doing. That's the kind of person who changes the country. It's a Ronald Reagan. It's a Donald Trump. It's somebody who's not part of groupthink. It's an honor that you put me in the same sentence as I'm being honest, especially you, KT, because I've been a fan of yours for 30 years, literally. So thank you. That meant a lot to me. And I think you're right. I think, maybe not me, but certainly people like Trump and Reagan and Spencer Pratt, when they're not lifelong politicians and they're just common sense, successful businessmen. Pratt happens to be a reality star, which is funny. But I think we're going to see more and more people like that have great success. Look at Tommy Tuberville. I just mentioned him. I want him to be the next governor of Alabama. He's a football coach. Great football coach. And he's awesome. And he's an awesome, I've met him a number of times and briefed him. He's terrific. He's really smart, but he has a gut feeling about issues, and he sticks with it, and he is fearless. He is. And that's the great thing about great leaders. They're fearless. They don't care if the mob is screaming against them. They're going to do what they believe is right, and then they're going to convince you why they think it's right, and then they're going to do it, and then they're going to succeed. Well, they'll either convince you or they'll continue to do it and not care. Like President Trump of Iran, he has not convinced everybody, not even close. And we have the same conversation every week, and it's only because I talk to a lot of people. I go to events. People talk to me in the street. I am social media, and they go, I love Trump too, but if I get one more message
that says, I love Trump too, but, okay? And I don't do that. I stick by the president, and whatever he does, I'm with him. I don't love everything. I don't. But a lot of those messages, I love Trump, but, especially with Iran. I keep telling people, oh, it's going to be great. Prices are going to come down. And they're like, Sid, we've been hearing this for months, okay? We don't want to hear it anymore. We want to see it. And that is the dilemma we are stuck in right now. Another ceasefire extension they're talking about, maybe another 60 days. And for all the folks who tell me at the Pentagon, a few, that we're stuck. That's why we want all these extensions, because we really can't make a move at this point. It's like a chess game. We're going to kill a lot of people, right? That's what we'll do if we actually send troops on the ground to get that enriched uranium, if we really bomb Tehran the way we want to with the Strait. So this is a chess game, and a lot of folks right now think we're stuck. Not winning, stuck.
I don't think we're stuck. I don't think we've won. I think we're set up for success. But how does that success get defined? To regime change, where we forcibly change the regime, where we kill all the mullahs, kill all the IRGC, then we're stuck with a country that we shouldn't be stuck governing. They should govern themselves. They're one of the smartest people in the world. 93 million people, internet savvy, smart guys, been suppressed by the IRGC and the mullahs. Let them govern themselves. But you have to help them to that. I mean, to me, the best thing that could happen is, but there's a slow rolling coup, that we get a nuclear deal. The mullahs are greatly weakened. The IRGC is defanged. We are empowering the people who want to do business with the United States. The United States goes in and develops the energy industry, which has been completely abandoned and ignored by Iran, except as a cash machine. And then you have the Iranian people take over slowly. That is a possibility. Is it a strong possibility? We don't know yet. One thing we don't want to do is have Iran be Afghanistan redux or Iraq redux, where we get rid of everybody, and then we have to be an occupying force and a governing force, and we're worried about the water filtration systems. That's not our job. Our job is to set it up so the Iranian people can take it over themselves. Meanwhile, open the Strait of Hormuz, get rid of the nukes, and have a mechanism whereby you are sure that you have to not just to make these agreements. You know, if Iran says, oh, we're not going to develop nuclear weapons. Well, you don't believe them, but you have to verify it. And so we have to figure out how to verify it. Maybe that's to take a small number of people to go in there on the ground. Maybe it's to go with other countries to go find out all the stuff that's buried under the rubble. How do we get our hands on it? How do we make sure that it's not something that Iran can keep and then can use eventually for a nuclear weapon? And then we have to have the enforcement capability. The problem with the Iran nuclear deal, well, one of the many problems with the flawed Iran nuclear deal that President Obama signed, is there was no enforcement. They could break their word, and nobody could do anything about it.
And they did.
So we have to, and they did, and they did time and time again.
Right.
And then how was our solution? We pretended they didn't.
Of course, no.
You got to have an enforcement mechanism.
You have to. I told you I had a good buddy. His name was Ben Weinthal. He wrote for the Jerusalem Post. He split his time between Berlin or Munich, I forget, and Israel. And he would DM me on Instagram and go, they found more uranium, or they found more of this or more of that. And I think he did it 54 times in year one.
Jeez.
So I brought him on the air all the time. He'd say, sit on the air in Florida. Nobody was listening, but he would tell me time and time again with proof that Iran was not paying attention. And like you said, Obama and Kerry, they acted like they didn't know about it. They knew about it. Let me move over to New York. You're a great New Yorker, and you're pro-Israel. And I have to tell you that when I meet a person who's Christian or not Jewish, and they're pro-Israel, it really makes my heart warm. It's too easy for the Jews to be pro-Israel, even though a lot of Jews are not. I am really warmed by folks that are not, because I keep saying that if we're going to win this battle, which we're losing now, if we're going to win, we need the Christian people to be with us, and most are. I know you are. When you see this mayor decide not to come to this parade on Sunday, and he has the nerve to blame Israel, like I said earlier, KT, I'm not asking Mamdani to go march in a parade in Tel Aviv. I get it. I'm not asking Mamdani to go march in a parade in Jerusalem. I get it. This is on Fifth Avenue in New York City, right? All the Jews, and he claims, right, and he claims I'm the mayor for everybody. I love my Jewish New Yorkers. Well, moron, this parade is a parade for Jewish New Yorkers. It's not in Haifa. So what's his real excuse?
Well, it's the excuse that a lot of people have seized on. It's anti-Semitism in another guise. It's, I'm anti-Zionism. I'm anti-Israel. I think Israel's done terrible things in the Middle East, the poor Palestinian people. It's just a front and a guise, an acceptable excuse for being anti-Semitic. I think it's just anti-Semitism.
That's all it is.
Happening in Europe, it's all it is. It's anti-Semitism. Because if it wasn't anti-Semitism, he'd be marching in that parade. He'd be marching in the St. Patrick's Day parade, the Columbus Day parade, the Jewish American parade. I mean, he would be marching in all those parades because that's New York. It's a melting pot. But not for him. It's a melting pot for everybody but Israel and the Jews.
That's right. And he did march. He did march in the St. Patrick's Day parade. I was standing out there when him and Jessica Tisch walked right by me. But you may remember what a louse this guy is, that he used St. Patrick's Day, okay? St. Patrick's. He used that morning to pump up his Muslim religion. He did a whole speech about the Muslims from City Hall the day of St. Patrick's Day. You remember that?
Yep. And then let me just ask you, if you were mayor in New York, and, there are a lot of steps you got to get to before you would be to that point, but you have the raw material and the ability to do it. And as Brian Kilmeade said, keep your radio show going. You have a platform on which to do it. Yeah. If there was a Muslim American parade, would you march in that?
In 1 second. I make this point all the time.
Okay,
I've got nothing against the Muslim people. My issue is radical Islam. And this mayor is 100% radical Islam. When you support the face of campus terrorism like Mahmoud Khalil, who should be deported, that's not just any Muslim guy. That's radical Islam. When you talk about the Jews as being genocidal, that's radical Islam. I have no issue with the Muslim people. I'd march with them in a heartbeat. None. I've said this time and time again. I'm still called an Islamophobia. It's fine. But the truth is, no, I have no issue with the Muslim people. My issue is radical Islam, and this mayor is a radical Islamist. Bottom line.
Yeah, and so he's not going to march in an Israeli parade. I mean, in a Jewish American or Israeli parade, and you would march in a Muslim parade. It says it right there.
Right there. And Paul DiGiacomo, who's a great guy, used to run the DEA KT, which is not drugs. It is the Detective Endowment Association. He says that part of the reason why he's not marching is he's afraid his wife is going to kick his ass. And if that's true, that's not good either, because we already know his wife is a vile, wretched anti-Semite. Either way, he's got no excuse. Again, this parade is not in Israel. It's on Fifth Avenue. Jewish people voted for you. I hate them, but they did. You should be there for them. Bottom line. What are you doing this weekend? Anything fun?
Actually, I'm in Tallahassee right now with my daughter. They're voting on the Florida budget, and then they're going to be discussing DeSantis's proposal to eliminate, at least to reduce and eventually eliminate property taxes for Florida state residents on their primary residence. So amazing. It's exciting.
That is amazing. It's sad that I know that Trump and DeSantis are not best buddies. They're still not. Trust me, they're still not. But
no, they're not.
No, but no one can argue that Ron DeSantis is a great governor and has done an amazing job. So does it look like, your daughter would know this too, does it look like Byron Donalds might be the next governor?
Oh, I think 100%. Fiona, my daughter, State Representative Fiona McFarland, was the first person in Florida to endorse him.
Oh, wow. Okay, how about that?
Friends. She's from Sarasota. He's from Naples. They're close friends. She's a good friend of his wife, Erica's. Yeah, and Byron Donalds would be awesome.
Yeah, I like him too. I like him, but I love you. You're great again, as always. Enjoy your time with your beautiful daughter down in Florida. We'll do it again next week, KT. Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you're great. KT McFarland right there, and love having her on every Friday. It's a real honor to have KT, and she really wants me to run. It comes up every week now, unprovoked.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?